So I'm walking past this field of cows and this guy just hops over the fence and he has like a little bag and he starts like mooing. He starts making cow noises. All of a sudden, all of these cows just start running towards him. And it's because he's feeding them. And I don't know why I find that so funny, but that's hilarious. So I was gonna head to my usual trail and do that instead this morning. When I was driving, there was literally just a wall of fog on the road, so I turned around because it was getting worse and worse the closer I was getting into it. And I was like, oh well, I'll go to the new place. And I'm very glad I did, because look how beautiful this is what I'm walking through right now. This Q&A I'm going to do while I'm walking. A lot of people said maybe sit down and do it, but I don't know, it's the whole point of this channel is to walk, so it made more sense I think for me to walk and answer these questions, because a lot of the questions you have asked are like PCT related, so it just kind of makes more sense to be walking while I answer them. First of all, I made the decision to do the PCT in December, I think it was, the last week of December. And now I made this decision for the PCT based on the fact that I follow a lot of travel accounts on Instagram, and a lot of people I follow had been posting saying, you know, with COVID cancelling their plans for the PCT that year, they were hoping that in 2021 they would be able to get a permit to do it that year. And I was just like naturally curious, and I was like, well, what the hell is the PCT? So I nearly fell. I googled it and I was just researching about it, and I don't know, like the places where it passes through are places that I've always wanted to visit in America, and when I saw that they passed through that, I was like, oh my god, this sounds perfect. And it was kind of a mixture of both wanting to do it and feeling like I kind of needed to do it. So my decision to do the PCT was very simple, and I think the decision was made like almost instantly. I was just like, yep, this is what I'm doing next year. I at the moment don't do any other outdoor activities. Climbing always seems fun, but I don't know, I think it would be a bit of a waste of my time at the moment, you know, taking time to do all these other outdoor activities when really I need to be putting as many hours into training and walking for the PCT as I possibly can. So it might be something in the future that I consider, but right now it's not something that I kind of have the time to do, because at the moment I am trying to balance work, university and walking all the time. So two people asked what my life goals were at the moment and what I'm most excited for when everything reopens. So they kind of coincide with each other, I guess. So at the moment my life goals are to simply graduate my uni degree this year, and then obviously the PCT next year. Those are the big goals, but I have a few little ones that I want to achieve in the summer. So those goals and like things I'm looking forward to the most when everything opens is I'm planning on doing a lot of hiking and camping in the summer in the Lake District and in Scotland. I want to complete the Yorkshire Three Peaks, but I also want to hike and wild camp through the Cairngorm Mountains up in Scotland. So those are like the things I'm aiming for, I guess, at the moment. Somebody asked whether I prefer day or night hikes. Now I did actually ask this question on my Instagram post the other day, and a few of you answered, so I'm going to give you my answer in more depth. Because for me personally, I have to be up and out hiking within about half an hour to an hour of waking up, and it has to be on the morning, because just from past experience, if I've ever kind of woke up and then put it off and kind of decided to hike maybe 3 or 4 hours after I've woke up, or at about 11-12 o'clock, I get out and I walk and I feel so demotivated. I walk for about an hour and I just think, oh god, this is it, I'm done, I'm going back. Whereas if I set out like maybe 7 o'clock, then I can literally just walk for miles. I can walk into the like evening time and it doesn't bother me, but I can't start later in the day because it doesn't work for me. But what is your preference when you hike? Can you kind of, spend a bit more time in the morning relaxing, or do you have to kind of get out and hike within however long of you waking up? Or do you hike, morning, afternoon, evening or night? What is your preference? Because I think everybody's different with that, and everybody has their own like little routines, I guess, when it comes to preparing for a hike and hiking, I guess. So let me know what your little routine is. We're just going to keep walking along this path, I think. Somebody asked what the best clothing brands are for hiking, and to be honest, I guess with that, it's very subjective. What my favourite clothing brand is might be very different to what somebody else's is. So honestly, my biggest advice is to just go out and test loads of outdoor clothing and just see what works for you and what doesn't. Something that I will just kind of mention is it's always worth, no matter what brand you're using, it's always worth having a good pair of socks, a good pair of shoes that are comfy. And that doesn't have to be walking boots, it could be like running shoes, it could be anything. Just as long as they're comfy, they're not going to give you any issues. And then it's always worth, if you have a backpack with you or like some sort of bag, always carry like a waterproof jacket, an extra layer, and then maybe like a hat and scarf. Just so you're prepared for like kind of any weather instance, no matter what hike you're doing, because this is the UK. And no matter where you are, to be honest, weather changes all the time, so it's always worth having like backup clothing, I guess, just in case. And then, if you are too warm, you can always take it off and put it back where you had it stored, so you're not kind of tied to having to wear it. One thing that I just try and avoid with any clothing brand is cotton. Cotton is possibly the worst fabric to wear in any instance where you might be wet or sweaty, because it just traps moisture and it holds it against your skin, so it's going to make you feel even hotter than what you want, like possibly rub, I guess. It's just not going to be a comfy experience for you, so I would really strongly advise staying away from cotton when you're choosing whatever clothing it is. So some people asked whether I would do hikes through the national parks in the UK and like other like bits like the Peak District and stuff, and to be honest I would, and I do actually plan on doing that once lockdown ends. I plan on hiking as many places in the UK as I can, and that's purely just based off of a training perspective. Like, I need to do as much training as possible, and to get adequate training, I guess, I'm going to need to do as many hikes in the UK as I possibly can. So a question that keeps commonly getting asked is, am I having to save for the PCT? So the answer is yes, very simply, I am having to save quite a bit. So to break it down for you, most people recommend when you do the PCT that you have about $1,000 for every month that you're planning on being out there. So in my case, the maximum amount of time I can be out there is 6 months. So I know that realistically $6,000 is going to be enough to cover me if it does take the full 6 months. Someone asked how I stay motivated when I feel particularly demotivated. Now, for me at the moment, there is some mornings where I hate the idea of getting up and I just cannot be bothered, and I wake up one morning and I just feel exhausted. And if I feel that way and kind of give in to that feeling, then it's not so much of an issue back home, because when I'm at home and I feel that way, if I've not got any food in the house and I need to eat, then I can pop to a shop and just get food, or it's not really going to affect me doing that. When I'm on trail, if I give in to feelings of demotivation or anything that kind of stops me doing what I need to be doing, then I put myself at risk of running out of food when I'm on trail. I run the risk of running out of water and not being near a water supply. If I do enough of that, then I even run the risk of not making it to Washington before the winter does, and ultimately not completing the PCT. So all of those things are keeping me motivated right now. But don't get me wrong, if there is like any time that you feel particularly exhausted or tired and like you can't continue, listen to that sometimes. I'm going to listen to that sometimes. No matter what activity it is that you're doing, you're inevitably going to feel demotivated at some point. And sometimes you do just need to take that break. So that's like the biggest bit of advice I could give. Like, don't wear yourself thin just because you feel like you need to do something. One day off will not hurt you and it will not hurt the activity. It just means, you know your limits, and it's good to sort of stop and take a break and just kind of revive yourself a bit before you continue. So never feel like you always need to be pushing yourself and doing it, because you don't. You really don't. It's not that important if you're going to burn yourself out in the process. I don't know if it's just because of how foggy it is, but everywhere I look there's these ropes, and they are probably just like homemade swings, but it is the creepiest thing right now to be walking through. I feel like the age I'm at is such a young age to kind of know everything that you want to do with your life. Like, for example, knowing exactly what job you want to be in for the rest of your life. I think that's a huge decision to make when you're only 21 or 18 or 16, because that's the age you're kind of expected to know what you want to do. And I don't know, I just think it's a lot of pressure. So whenever I have anything that I want to do, I'm trying to make a point of just doing it and not thinking about it too much. Like the PCT, like, you know, I didn't spend ages deciding whether I was going to do it. I liked the idea of doing it and I really wanted to do it. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I think any goal that you have, just do it, because, you know, why not? And I feel like you're never going to know exactly what you want in life, so when you do want something, you may as well just act upon it before that feeling passes, or, you know, before you end up with no goals, or you end up with a different one, and then you miss out on the other things. I am going to end the vlog here. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, thank you for all the new followers on Instagram, thank you for all the questions. I just simply wouldn't have anything to talk about this week if it wasn't for all of your questions. If you have any ideas for future videos, leave them in the comments below, message me on Instagram, anything, and it can be about anything. But thank you for your support, and I will see you next week.